Good day, everyone. This is John Scarborough. I wanted to make a little video today. I wanted to kind of answer a question that I've had in the past. Actually, I had a couple of different people ask the question, so I wanted to answer that question today in this video. The question was about brush hogging and the height. Like, what height should you brush hog? Should you brush hog all the way up? Should you brush hog all the way down to the ground? You know, where should you leave the height of your brush hog? And when you're brush hogging a pasture, is there a specific height? You know, is it 10 inches, 12 inches? That's something I've had a lot of people ask me about. So I want to answer that question today. And in order to answer that question, I think the best thing to do is to explain to you what it is you're trying to do when you brush hog. Okay, if you're just going out to make your pasture look better and that's it, you know, obviously you can bring it all the way down and make it like a golf course if you're wanting to. But if you're wanting to keep a regenerative agricultural approach, or if you just want to raise cattle, if you're wanting to do anything productive with that pasture outside of just trying to make it look better, there is specific heights that you want to go for. There are different things that you want to do, and it's not always exactly the same. So I'm going to try to go into that just a little bit and talk about what it is that you can think about and how to identify what to do. Before I get into that, guys, I wanted to just say thank you all so much for everybody who has subscribed to my channel. Welcome to our new to this channel, and thank you so much to everyone that has subscribed to my channel always. And as always, I'm going to ask, please, if you're watching this video and you have not subscribed yet, I would really love it if you would hit the like button and hit that subscribe button. It truly helps my channel, and it helps me to put out really good content as much as I can. A lot of times it's daily content. So anyway, check that out. And if y'all, if you have some ideas for videos, if you have questions, put it in the comments. Let me know. Thank you so much. Back to the topic here. So essentially, you can tell here, I'm going to show you, I pretty much went clean to the ground right there. But it's just one spot that I went clean to the ground. Over here, this pass is a little bit higher than that pass back in there. Now, I went all the way to the ground here because A, there was no grass, and B, there were actual tree stubs in here. So I took them all the way down and cut them out, and there was no grass to have to worry about the competition. So I got rid of all the grass. And you can see all these hay strings. I'm going to just mention this real quick. These are hay strings all in here. The guy that previously leased this place, this is the first time we've brush hogged this piece of property here. And the hay strings are out here are unreal. The number one thing that you can do if you want to get new landowners and keep landowners is keep it clean. Do not leave this stuff around on your landowner's property. Okay, so back to the topic. I hate to go off on a rant like that. But anyway, you can kind of tell the difference here. I brought it up a little bit higher to show y'all right in there. And then this was cut down a little bit lower. In this instance, this height is pretty good, okay? And the reason is typically what you're trying to do, especially as a regenerative rancher, is you're trying to give the grass as much height and as much, you want it to have the most competitive advantage, and you want to give it sunlight, okay? But the next thing you're trying to do is you're trying to ultimately cut your weeds down as low as possible. So you're trying to create that perfect balance, because if you don't cut the weeds down low enough, then you're not creating, you're not getting, these weeds, they suck up nutrients, they suck up water, and right now we're in kind of a drought right now. So they're stealing good water from all of that. They're stealing nutrients from the soil. They're doing all of those things, and that's competition, direct competition to your grass, okay? But at the same time, if you chop this all the way down, you're also chopping your grass all the way down. And if you come in here the way it is right now, and you can tell the weeds have just absolutely saturated and taken over some of this. Not all of it, but a lot of these places. And so if you come in here and there's any grass at all, like there is down in here, you can tell there's some grass still down in here. So the grass has already been fighting hard. So if you drop that all the way down and cut that clean off, you could be at a place where, yes, you are chopping the weed down, but you're also making it really difficult for the grass. So in this scenario right here, I would actually come in and I'm going to have it about at the height I've got it, because ultimately I want the grass to be as high as it can get. I want that to have as much possible leaf as I can leave on in that to absorb the sunlight. But I've got to get it low enough to take the tops of the weed off, okay? But then this scenario over here, when I walk in over here, you can see this grass is very low. There's not a lot of grass. There's even places, if I were to rake this back in here and look down in there, I mean, there's hardly any grass down in there. This is just absolutely, this place, whoever had it before, they were putting so many bales all over here, they were actually killing out their grass up here. That's what they did by doing that. They were just putting too many bales. They were just being way too lazy at it. You know, whether you want to call it laziness, no matter what you want to call it, whether you don't have the time, whatever it is, you're shooting yourself in the foot. You're hurting yourself by doing that, putting all that hay. But whatever the case may be, there's multiple reasons why a place can start to get weedy like that. So if you can tell that there's just almost no grass in an area like this, I'm going to go ahead and take this down pretty low. You know, I'm going to leave a little bit of residual, but I'm going to take it down pretty low in this spot. But everywhere where there's still grass, I'm going to try to give my grass a competitive advantage. Now, I know that that means that you're making your pasture look uneven, but keep in mind what you're trying to do in the long run of things, okay? And we're not talking about huge differences, okay? But see this right here? We've taken most of the weed heads off of everything here, and this is mostly grass. This is what we're going for right here, okay? We've put down a lot of carbon, we've refilled our litter bank here, and that litter bank will help to absorb the rain, the precious rain. Right now, while we've got this drought, any drop of rain we can get is precious, okay? But you can tell, like in this area right here, technically, if I would have dropped down a little bit more, it would have been better. Now, you can't, you know, constantly be going up and down nonstop. You know, you got to kind of pick the height that you're going to be in that pasture, but identify what the majority of the pasture is. What does the pasture need? So now I'm going to walk over here and I'm going to show you more of what you're actually going for. What is an ideal, not ideal, but closer to ideal, something that's a little bit closer to ideal. It's not as weedy, and that's kind of like what this is over here, okay? And I mean, of course, we're trying to get rid of all the weeds, you know, but we can't do that all at one time, not as regenerative ranchers. I mean, we've taken, a lot of times we'll take land over that has not been run very well for quite a while. I mean, the landowner probably did a great job here, but the people that leased the land, they may not have done such a good job. So that's something you have to think about. So if you look here, the weeds, you know, there's a lot of weeds, more than you want to see, and it's not a beautiful pasture, but there's no, the sunlight is still getting down in, okay? There's grass, the grass is still fairly high. It's not as thick as I'd like to see it, but it's fairly high and it's not being choked out by the grass. So we know that if I can come in here in this scenario and cut, basically what I want to do is just barely nick the top of that grass as if it's getting grazed, and I want to keep that grass blade as tall as I can possibly keep it while getting rid of the competition. So another thing I want you to kind of think about, at least in our area, is most of our weeds, like this one right here, okay, and like these weeds right here, like most of these weeds will actually, they grow taller than most grasses. So many times by chopping your grass, by chopping everything down to the tallest portion of the grass, a lot of people call it teenage grass. So it's the part of the grass where it's growing the fastest. It's got everything it needs, but yet it's not headed out yet. It doesn't have that seed on there yet. That is the best grass. It's growing in its fastest state. Everything's healthy about it, okay? So a lot of times if you will chop everything down to that height, especially if your pastures are more like this scenario here, then you'll actually be taking the weed down to a very, it's a very low the weed is getting chopped down very low at that height, but yet it's the perfect height for the grass. So keep that in mind, that a lot of times the weeds naturally grow taller, a lot taller than grasses do. So you're actually doing a lot more good than you think. And the reason I'm saying this is I've had a lot of people tell me, oh, well, you're not going to clean that pasture up unless you drop that thing down all the way, pretty much unless you're making a golf course out of it. And yes, it does look better. But in the long run, you're not doing yourself any favors, because now you're leveling the playing field and literally making it equally as good. You're making it basically equal opportunity for the weed and the grass. Both of them are chopped all the way down. But when you chop it down to where that grass is at the perfect height, but the weed has gotten its head taken off, okay? When you do that, you're actually giving the grass a competitive advantage. You're making it to where the weed itself has been dropped to a point where it's very hard to come back. It doesn't have very much leaf at all, you know, but yet the grass still had tons of tons of leaf. It still has lots of competitive advantage, and it's at a wonderful state. So that's the main thing to remember is, what is your goal? Your goal is to increase grass, and not to level the playing field, but to give your grass the competitive advantage. So if your pastures are more like this, where the grass is already getting light, go for that. If your pastures are like this, to where they just there's almost no grass anyway at all, at that point you almost need to bring it all the way down just to get sunlight down to the surface, you know. And you may have a different problem altogether. You may not have any grass in the seed bank, you know. But a lot of times there is grass there, you just haven't gotten to it. But especially in this scenario where we know that it used to be a good pasture and we know that there's seed in the seed bank, most likely if I, brush hog this over, I may have to brush hog it a couple more times to get it just right. But I can just about bet that one brush hogging, I'll start to see much better grass. Within 2 years of trying to take good care of this, we'll start to see way, way better grasses. That combined with good grazing management. Okay, guys, I don't want to drag this out too long. I really hope that has helped somebody. I hope that it, answered a few questions. As always, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe, and please come check out some more videos and let me know if there's any videos that y'all want to see more of. Thanks so much.